Hello, this is Jamie Magrich. Welcome to Jamie's Craft Table. Today I'm going to show you how I made this card. Let's get started. I am using Positive Thoughts. And the only ink is Granny Apple Green and Memento Black ink. And I'm going to be using some Post-it notes. I have a strip of white which is 1 inch wide. This is longer than it needs to be. We'll trim it off. It needs to be at least 4 inches. That's for the sentiment. A couple of strips. These are just scraps. This one is 1/4 inch Magenta Madness and an 1/8 inch of black. These are optional. You don't have to have those. It just added to it. I have a piece of white, which is 4 by 5 1/4. I have a piece of black, which is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. Piece of Magenta Madness, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I have my card base. This time I have it folded at the top, so it's 4 1/4 by 11, scored at 5 1/2. Okay, let's place these aside, and then I'm going to be using a few of these green holiday rhinestones. Don't need this one out yet. Don't need these two right now. I just need these two. So first thing I'm going to do is stamp on this. I'm going to turn it this way so that you can actually see what I'm doing. I'm going to take my Post-it note, and first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use my grid paper. And just set it on here like this. Make sure the top and the bottom, or one of them, is on a line so that you know you have it straight. I'm going to take one Post-it note and figure out where I want my sentiment to be. And I did it 4 spots from the bottom, so I think I want this up a little bit higher. Just a little bit, like that. Okay, and now I'm going to stick this Post-it note down. I just want to make sure that it lines up on this side, lines up on the line on this side, and then rub it down. Okay, then I'm going to go up onto this line because I want it to be that 1 inch. And I'm going to put another one. I really only need the one, I guess. I just wanted to make sure it's all covered. And I think what I did on this one, I used my Post-it tape. And I laid that down so that center was masked. So I can show you that as well. I am going to need one of these Post-it notes anyway. And then again, I just lined it up so that the lines matched up, so it was somewhat straight. Make sure it's straight here. Like that, okay? Then I'm going to mask off the bottom for now because I don't want this piece from the top to hang off the bottom. Let me bring in open the ink, Granny Apple Green. I'm going to use this fern. And I'm going to start stamping, and I'm going to do multiple generation stamping, so I'm going to stamp it once. I'm going to move it down, stamp it again. I'm going to move it down, and I'm going to stamp it again. Over here, I'm going to go up, Stamp it again. Okay. Now I'm going to bring in another color because I think it needs it. I'm not 100% sure it does, but I want a little bit of a darker color there. So let's bring in some garden green, I think. So I want a little bit of a darker green too. I didn't use it on the other one. Stamp off. I just want a little bit. A darker green here in the front. That's better. Down here at the bottom, just a little bit. Okay. Alright, now I'm going to remove this post-it note, and I'm going to put it up here. And I'm going to do a similar thing at the bottom here. Let's clean this off. Go into the granny apple. Some of these can go right off the edge, that's fine. Okay, wipe it off. Go in the dark green. I just need a little bit of that dark green. Here. Okay. Now, I'm going to take my post-it note, and I want a clean one, because that has wet green ink on it. First I'm going to take my blending brush and my granny apple green, and I'm going to blend from the bottom here a little bit, just so that line there isn't quite as choppy. Pick up some of this ink off my desk too, and might as well use it. Okay. Now I'm going to wipe off this green ink off of my desk. And I'm going to come in with, I forgot I did this part, Magenta Madness. Take my post-it note and let's close this one up. Above from where the edges of the tape, I put this post-it note so it left a little bit of a space there. Taped it down. Did the same thing on this one. I'm not sure how well this one's going to come out because I added that darker green, so it might not come out as well, but we'll do it anyway. Okay, then I got the Magenta Madness. Come on. And my blending brush. And I did a very dark Magenta Madness line there. You'll see on this one, this line here is ink. Looks like it's paper, but it's not. It's just ink. Just do both of those real fast. A little bit more. I had it in my box and then I forgot. what I needed it for, and I put it away. Okay. Alright, let's take these masks off. Awesome. Okay, now let's wipe up this table. I'm going to stamp my sentiment here in the middle. I'm going to bring in my foam mat because it has a tendency to, my table's a little bit wonky because I hit it with a heat tool and melted it. So, alright, so I'm going to use the Memento ink. Ink up my sentiment. Position that right in the center. Make sure it's got good even pressure. Let it sit for a minute so you get it good. Lift it up. Perfect. Awesome. Okay, now I'm going to add some butterflies. You could leave it right like that. That's pretty too. Butterflies, and I'll put one up here. Put one down here. It's a little bit different layout than the other one, but it's alright, it'll work. And I'm going to put one here in the center, like, well, a little bit right over here, I guess. Which direction? How do I want this butterfly? Do I want to turn it upside down? Nah. I think I want it like this. Maybe I do want it upside down. Let's put this one upside down. Okay, awesome. Now, you could leave it right like that. It would be a single layer card. You wouldn't need to add anything else. You could do that right on the front of your card. But I don't do single layer cards that well, so I added some other things. But first, let's color these butterflies. And I've used the Mango Melody Light and Dark. I started with the dark. And I just did a couple flicks in this area here with the dark. I find it easier to flick away from myself. Okay. Again, you could leave it right like that. That looks pretty good. I came in with the light one and filled in the rest of the butterfly. There's no fancy blending or anything. Well, if you wanted, there's a die for the butterfly, I think. Yeah, you could stamp the butterflies first and mask them so you didn't have the green behind them. Okay, now I'm going to layer this onto my black layer. I was just tapping this on the table so I could Make sure my glue's down at the end. There's just this tiniest little border. I don't know if you can see it. Let me move this mat so you can actually see. Okay, and we're going to mount that on the magenta. And you could use your dies and die cut stuff out of the center of these because they're not going to show. Okay, then mount this to the front of the card, and it would be pretty that way. But I added this strip here, across there. You do it on both if you wanted. So I'm going to add a little bit of glue on the back of this. It's longer than it needs to be. It should be 4 inches, but okay. And where's my snips? I don't know. I need to run off with them, so we'll use these. Okay, then I'm going to do the same thing with this black strip. Just put a little tiny bit of glue along the back of it. Don't need much. Tiniest little bit. Add that here. And under there. Snip that off. There we go. Now we'll mount that to the front of our card. It's the same size as the front. Okay. And what happened to my blings? There they are. Okay, so we're going to add one bling to the head of the butterflies. Oops, good. Okay, and I have a bow here that I've colored with ink pad. You could add that on there if you like. I didn't really like it.
Okay,
So
sorry about that.
My memory card got full, so I'm not sure where it ended off, but
Here's the card we just made together where I added that second green. Here's the one I did previously with just the
granny apple. And this one I
did the butterfly going the other direction here at the bottom where the leaves are. So which one do you like better? Thank you for joining me today at Jamie's Craft Table. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I hope you can find a little bit of time to play with some stamps, ink, and paper.